Hello, everybody. Welcome to an opportunity to hear a testimony from the Jason Ponish, a local townie, the pride of State College. We are so excited that, Jason, I'm super hyped that you're able to hop on with me and do this interview and to share your testimony of what God's been doing recently. How are you feeling today, Jason?
I'm doing good. It is cold outside. I do not love the cold. I'm more of a warm weather kind of person, so not my favorite thing, but doing all right still. Able to get some enjoyment out today still.
Full disclosure, me and Jason did get KFC and ate outside in this cold weather together just prior to this interview, and my hands hurt by the end of that
Yep,
lunch at the picnic table.
it was cold.
It was cold. But anyways, fall has hit. But Jason, we want to give you an opportunity to share of what God's been doing. So can you tell us a little bit about how you've seen God work in your life?
Yeah, it's definitely been a crazy season since COVID started. I'm sure that rings true for everyone. But so just to say a little bit more about myself, in case you don't know, I work for a youth group in State College for Calvary Church. They meet downtown, also in Boalsburg, a few other places. And I work with youth there, 6 to 12, so do a lot with them. I love it. It's one of my favorite things. But it's been crazy with COVID because, sure, as you know, middle schoolers and high schoolers don't love being on Zoom all the time and being on their computers. But I have gotten a chance to just get to meet with a few high school students one-on-one because we're not doing as much big group stuff. So I get to meet with a few kids in smaller group settings and get to talk to them and just hear about their life, hear about their story, and just be vulnerable. And vulnerable. They're being vulnerable with me. I'm going to be vulnerable with my boss. And it's just kind of like a season that I've seen God bring in my personal life of vulnerability and the importance of that. Especially, I'm a very extroverted person, so I love to be around people and talk about my life and hear about their life. So just having the opportunity, even in a crazy climate where it's hard to meet in person, still have those opportunities to be vulnerable and feel God pushing me to share what's on my heart, even do interviews like this. So I would say that's a big one. Vulnerability and community are two like big things I feel like I've seen God at work in this season. Service is another thing I love. I love being able to serve, and I've been able to get out and serve my neighbors in a few ways, and just see our youth group serve a few different people in the neighborhood. So really big on service projects. Love that.
That's cool. Yeah, I would to even piggyback on that. Like COVID has been a season. I love your use of the word vulnerable. I think in many cases it has allowed us to just share, both the victories, but also, yeah, this has not been easy, and to be honest, both with God and others about that.
Yeah, for sure. It's there's definitely some days where I sit through like 3 Zoom meetings. I'm like, wow, I didn't really enjoy that day at all, and I'm able to say like, hey, one more Zoom meeting, and I might lose it. So let's do something fun for.
There you go. Yeah, but it's cool that God is still there through all of it. So that's good. Jason, you've shared a little bit that you work with Calvary. Tell us about your calling, and specifically, you shared also about your extroversion. Tell us a little bit more about how you're wired.
Yeah, so I would say I've been working youth ministry now I was an intern 2 years ago, then became like a part-time employee, and I'm almost full-time. Back when I was in high school, I had no idea I wanted to do youth ministry. I was like, I'm going to be a history teacher, and then like a year later, I was like, wait, I hate being in school. I don't want to be a history teacher. So kind of had no clue what I wanted to do. High school was like just kind of going through and through, and then eventually my youth pastor was like, hey, if you want to try youth ministry, an intern with me. And I was like, kind of thinking about it, but didn't feel like I was like, that was my thing. I didn't think I'd be good at it, honestly. So I was like, why do I try if I'm not going to be good at it? So I ended up trying it out, being an intern. Loved it. It was stressful and crazy at times, but overall loved it and learned a lot. I have a real heart for the next generation. Even in high school, I loved working with younger students. I was a student leader with our youth group and worked with middle school students. So just a real heart for the next generation and them coming to know Christ, real heart for prayer. With that, I was able to start a prayer group at my high school. I highly encourage you, if you have the extra time, start a prayer group, get together with your triad, get together with a few friends and just pray together we prayed 15 minutes before school started, I think. Cole Kalima, he was in that group for a year or two. Shout out to Cole. He was always consistent, probably the most consistent person. Shout out to him. But definitely encourage that. Love prayer. That's been a big part of my calling. With being extroverted, I love doing that and being like a front stage presence for the kids at youth group. And that's been another tough thing during COVID, like I kind of mentioned. But it's been neat seeing how between me and sort of some of my other coworkers who are more introverted, that we kind of all have that balance, so we all fit like God's plan for our youth ministry to fit together. Like we each bring something different to the table. So I love handling some of the more upfront on stage stuff and getting to be goofy. I love it. I've had a chance to stretch that's another thing that I feel like God's been doing actually this season, is stretching my creativity. I love being creative, but haven't always had like great chances or had the confidence to put that forward. So just a chance to be goofy on stage. I was never a theater kid, but always loved going to performances. So just getting to do kind of a little bit of my own funny stuff, and obviously meeting up with people still and bringing energy. I love to bring energy. One of my goals. I want you to leave happier, or at least just a little more hyped up than when you came.
Man, I mean, when you came on our mission trip with us to North Carolina last year, yeah, that was definitely true, Jason.
Yep.
Jason made the van ride from here to North Carolina and back so much easier. My favorite was your rendition of Trouble with Taylor Swift in the back seat of the van.
I think I do have my Taylor Swift shirt on.
Oh my gosh, there's no way we did not plan that.
I do have my Taylor Swift shirt on from when she was here like years ago.
I don't know what I think of that. Anyways, Jason, so you're not a student.
I'm not.
You're a student age.
Secret's out.
Oof. But you are student age. But you've been a part of New Life now for about around a year.
Yeah.
In different capacities. Tell me about what it's been like and why you're a part of New Life when you're not even a student at Penn State, which, by the way, we love. So this is part of the reason why we're interviewing you.
Yeah, it's been great. I think maybe you and I met a year and a half ago, and I was just looking for a group of more people my own age to get involved with. I had been involved with groups with my fellow youth workers, but they were all a lot older than me. No offense to them, but I just want people more my age. And yeah, you hooked me up into a triad, and I really enjoy the small group setting. As much of an extrovert I am with the large group stuff, I do feel like I'm able to be more vulnerable in a small group setting. That's just something I've noticed in my own personal life. So instantly fell in love with that whole triad thing, and I even use that now in youth ministry. I try to break up groups even smaller when I can. So fell in love with that whole idea. I love meeting with my group. It's mostly been Andre and Maddie right now, but we just had
Miles.
Sorry, it takes me 3 times to learn a name, so sorry, Miles. The 3rd time we meet again, I will get the name. 3 times, what it takes. So yeah, Miles also in the group, just joined last week. So it's been good. Definitely something I look forward to every week when I can make it. It was a little crazy with my schedule because I was working at both Calvary and a job at Wegmans, but now putting in my 2 weeks at Wegmans, so my schedule opens a lot more. And excited to meet with those guys. Happy to be back in person. Like I said, I don't hate Zoom, but I hate doing Zoom all day, every day. So it is good to be back in person in that setting and just, encouraging each other on the week to week. I love being able to encourage other guys and get encouragement and talk about what we're reading, what God's doing. Kind of like even this interview right here, just talking about what we see God doing. Which is great and it's encouraging. So love it. Love hanging out with those guys. Love that I got to go on the mission trip. That was a awesome time. I learned a lot about stuff I'd never done before and made some awesome new friends. Shout out to mission trips in the future. Sign up. I've been on 1 with New Life and then 2 also with Calvary. They have all been great. Go on a mission trip. Do it.
Yes. In fact, we want to give you those opportunities. If you're with a part of New Life, we definitely want to have you those opportunities. Thank you so much, Jason. I'm going to ask you one more question I didn't give you. If it's a bad answer, we'll just edit that part out.
Okay.
But so what are you learning about God right now?
What am I learning about God right now? Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay. Put me on the spot.
I know.
I think one thing that I'm learning, I think this is more so, I feel like it's about myself and God, kind of like a mix. Something I've struggled with is, especially in this COVID season, is praying for myself. I'm great at praying for other people. If someone gives me a prayer request, hey, stop and pray for it. But I've been kind of terrible at praying for myself, especially in this season. And just remembering that God wants to hear, my prayers and hear my struggles too, not me just sharing them with someone else to have pray, but he wants me to take that up with him too. And when I'm going on my walks, it's okay to say, hey, God, I really need help with this right now, instead of, praying for my whole neighborhood for that. Pray those same things for me too. Because, God's generous and loves each and every one of us. So.
That's true. Yeah. And I love that because it's just tapping into that belief that, you know, one, God does hear our prayers.
Yeah.
And then secondly, going back to that vulnerable and humility aspect of it, like, that to be vulnerable in front of God that's good. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, for sure.
That's cool. Well, Jason, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And I look forward to much more time with you in the future, man.
Yes, excited to have more opportunities to do stuff like this, and excited to be at more New Life stuff now that I have a little more free time.
Cool.